Hey everybody, Jason here, and joining me this week is Josh as a super special guest. Josh is joining Wavedash as our brand new art director.
Hey, how's it going?
Alright, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Joshua Singh. I'm joining Wavedash. Previously, I was at Riot Games working on a game called League of Legends.
You might have heard of them.
Yeah. Prior to League of Legends, I was at Blizzard working on Project Titan, which later evolved into what is now known as Overwatch. Yeah.
Any cool characters you might be able to reference that you worked on?
Oh, yeah. So I was at Riot for almost 5 years, and in those 5 years... So the first things I ever did at Riot were like the Nautilus Lulu era,
Nice.
like Varus, Nautilus Lulu, Jace, Draven Darius, like that era.
Mm-hmm.
And then I later joined a team called the Relaunch Team, or they call it the Champion Update Team now. And pretty much all the Champion updates from Soraka to Tristana I was a part of. So models like the characters like the revamp of Annie, Twisted Fate, Scion, who else? Soraka. Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty exciting. Yeah, you don't have to list everybody. That's pretty exciting by itself. You know, we're working on something huge like League of Legends, and now we've got, small little Wavedash Games here just getting started. What attracted you to what Wavedash is doing?
So first of all, some context, right? So I joined Riot in 2010, okay? And in 2010, Riot wasn't as big as it is now. It was pretty scrappy, and it was like this little scrappy studio, and it had made a game that was serving a really underserved player base, right? Like there was Dota, and Dota was just a mod of Warcraft 3, and this entire community had spawned around Dota. And these guys, Mark and Brandon and a few other guys, were like, hey, this is a completely underserved demographic here. If we make something quality, if we make something awesome, we think people will like it, right?
And they were right.
Yeah, and they were right. And so they were able to get some resources together, and they created a game called League of Legends that played upon the formula that Dota had pioneered and improved upon it. Well, not say improved upon it, but iterated upon it, right? It's a subjective thing, but anyway, so our mutual friend introduced me to Jason and the Wavedash crew, and said they were looking for an art director. And as I did some research on you guys, and I saw what you were doing, we met at EVO.
Yeah.
And that was an awesome time, and it was very, very similar to what I've experienced in the esports world of League, right? Where just a huge crowd of very passionate people who love their game, who love their characters, who, these games have taken... there's a place in their heart,
Yeah.
and they're extremely devoted to their thing, and when you showed me the Smash Melee crowd, it really reminded me of what the League crowd used to look like, just super hardcore, like super passionate, super devoted. And when I saw how they were being served by what's currently out there, and then what you guys plan on doing with Wavedash, I was like, dude, this looks really familiar. Like this formula of making something for an underserved player base that's higher quality and that's sort of updated is a very, very good formula. And I was like, dude. And plus, it's like working on a fighting game, working on a platform fighter where I get to make cool-ass characters and stuff. I was like, dude, sign me up.
So you've had a chance to see some of the stuff that we've already done on the project as we were building our game demo and working towards an alpha.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think you're going to be able to help level up and evolve what Wavedash has been working on so far?
Okay, so the artwork that I've seen is pretty good. I think that there are some things that we can do to just increase the fidelity of the artwork a little bit. We can make the designs a little more iconic. We can make the designs stand out a little bit more. We can do really fun things where the look of the characters can sort of give a hint of their play style a little bit more. We can, I mean, dude, there's so many things I want to do that I don't know if we can do yet, but the first things first is I really want to iterate on shaped languages and sort of just creating a more iconic feel for some of these characters, particularly Ashani, since, I mean, she's the only one you guys have revealed, right?
That's right. The only one we've revealed so far.
All right. So yeah, I mean, so if we're going to talk about Ashani, we can definitely, like, the idea of, this woman creating, like, inventing some new energy source, and now she's created this power suit, for her own, like, fledgling enterprise or whatever. It's a super compelling idea for a character. So yeah, but it's just making that tech iconic, right? Like making that tech look like distinctly Ashani's and distinctly, like it belongs in the world that we're creating for Wavedash's first game. Which we announced the name of it already? I'm not here.
We're in our 30s.
Yeah,
we've been at this for a while. And we've had a chance to work on other people's stuff, and now we're working on some of our own stuff, which is pretty exciting. And so that means, like, some of our influences are going to come into the art that we're creating here. So, for me, growing up as a kid in the late 80s and early 90s, stuff like Batman the Animated Series and Gargoyles, these cartoons and stories that were hopeful and interesting, and didn't treat me like a kid, right? Like, they were willing to tell mature stories. Those things really influenced the way I thought about storytelling and art and all of that. So I'm curious, what influences, guided you into becoming an artist and eventually an art director at a studio like Wavedash?
That's a great question. Total 80s kid, right?
Yeah.
And not only that, like, so my dad was a doctor, right? We were okay off. We were well off growing up, and so I got everything. Like, I had so many toys, so many comic books. But I would say that, like, growing up, I always knew how to draw, right? I was always the kid who could draw well. And that became sort of my defining characteristics. Like, as I got into my early teens, they used to sell these big packs of comic books at Costco. And they were, like, all, like, trash comics, like the ones that Marvel couldn't sell.
They're the repacks, right?
Yeah,
I remember going to comic stores, and they would have, like, this pack, and it would look like this huge thick thing of comics, and the front and the back would be, like a Wonder Woman comic and an X-Men comic.
Yeah.
And inside was all of the junk.
It was like Gru and, like, the Nam and like
Rom the Space Knights and
stuff that nobody would ever. So it was all the stuff Marvel could. But anyway, my dad would buy me these from, like, Costco, and I really started getting into comics. And I would read the editor's notes, and I'd be like, what is Spider-Man talking about? And Stanley would be like, it's Secret Wars 47. You know what I mean? I'd be like, Mom, what's Secret Wars? I need to get a Secret Wars comic. So, and then I started buying the trade paperbacks, and I started learning the stories, and I was geeking out, man. I got into Phoenix Saga, like, Uncanny X-Men was my jam.
The X-Men cartoon show.
X-Men cartoon.
Late 80s, early 90s.
Totally, man. They got super into, like, all the crazy storylines, too. But, and so that all influenced my art, and I was drawing Wolverine and Cable and all that stuff. Dude, I was totally into Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, Joe Mad. All those guys became huge influences. Rob Liefeld, all that stuff. And so that's where my drawing style came from in the 90s. That's what I would draw in my notebook. Gummy bears. Like, dude, I love gummy bears, 80s man. 80s kid gummy bears. I still love the song. Like, so I'll just bust it out sometimes. Not now. My styles and my tastes definitely range. It just has to be cool. You know what I mean? It just has to be cool. It has to be grounded. It has to feel like it has some sort of history to it. I don't like characters that sort of are just there. I like characters that feel like they've been somewhere. I like their costumes to tell a story. I like their look to tell a story. Even if people talk about, is lore important, and I think lore is important, but
you can express it through more than just
exactly. I really love the lore that happens organically. I love it when people see something on a character and they're like, why does he have that thing? Why does she have a keychain? Why is her bandana this color and then that other character's color has the same? Like, is there a connection? Like, that was one of my favorite things about working on League of Legends was people would create connections that we thought that we didn't even think about. You know what I mean? People would create relationships to characters or lore about characters that we didn't even think about because they saw something that we didn't see. And that sort of interaction with the community, I think, is really, really valuable. And when I heard that you guys, like, your strategy with the community is very similar, I'm like, hell yeah, like, that's the way to go. Like, let people create with you. Let it be. I feel like a lot of times in game design we get caught up in analysis, which totally has its place. We analyze, we break it down, we we sort of figure out why it's good.
He's judging me right now, by the way. I'm feeling the pressure from my art director right now.
But we tend to undervalue synthesis, right? We undervalue bringing ideas together and combining them and smushing them together. And I think that that's when you get creative, right? And now, both of those ideas, analysis and synthesis, they have their dark side, right? When we're just combining everything, it doesn't make sense. It's dumb, right? You gotta learn the art of paring it down and making it efficient and optimizing it. But
it's one of my mantras about design. Is good design is about subtraction, not about addition.
Yeah,
right? People have lots of ideas. You have lots of influences. You throw lots of things together, and we're seeing that already in the art that we're doing right now. We're getting a lot of ideas on the board, but to get to something great, we have to subtract.
Yeah.
Right? We have to remove, okay, this one's not right, this one's not right, this one is good, but it could be better. Let's bring in this element here.
Totally. So you start out with synthesis, which is what we're doing right now, where we're combining artists. We have some artists that we're working it with that we really like, and whose style we really like, and we're combining it with my style, and we're going back and forth, and we're sort of playing this game. And once we have an idea of what the character is, and who the character should be, and what we want the character to say, then we begin to analyze, and we go, okay, here are the pillars, here are the things that we want this character to be. Is this design choice saying that? And if it doesn't, then we get rid of it.
Right.
I think that's good character design, is you want to look at that character and immediately understand what they want to say.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, so one last question for you, I think, before we say goodbye. And I'm not promising to make this, but if we could put a Josh Singh vanity character into our game, who would you want to see come to life?
All right. So I have.
No promises, everybody. This is just for fun.
All right.
We're getting to know Josh today.
So, dude, I have so many vanity characters. It's not even fun. But all right. So at Riot, my handle was Grumpy Monkey, right? So Grumpy Monkey, because back in the day, I created this character named Kong Lao, right? And he was this sort of take on Hanuman, like Monkey King type character, right? And he was this big, burly, like grumpy monkey with a huge mace and whatever. And he was one of my breakthrough characters back in like 2006. Like, I really leveled up on that character, technically, artistically, and I began to find, and it got a huge amount of attention. It went on like a competition. There's like an international competition that was a part of, and it got me a lot of attention in the art community. And so I've always loved that character, and I've always wanted to make a character like that. And just a big, burly, sort of Asian themed, gorilla dude with a Raiden hat and a huge ass mace, and he spins around. And I don't know. Okay. So
well, put it in the backlog.
Yeah, maybe put it in the backlog. Do Josh's Grumpy Monkey.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Well, thanks for being here today. We'll. I'm excited to show off the stuff that Josh and his guys are working on, and hopefully over the next couple of weeks at Super Smash Con and beyond, we'll be able to show some of that off.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys next week.